It's a daily struggle with diets, but for some, however hard they try, they simply can't get rid of the fat. Today, on Fat Surgeons, two men who have struggled with their weight. 42-year-old Ian White has spent a lifetime dieting.
This has been a lifelong battle for me, and yeah, at the moment I'm 33.5 stone. It's the heaviest I've ever been.
5 years ago, Martin Gibbs was a massive 40 stone.
Can't quite believe it's the same person that wore them both.
Martin is less than half the man he was after undergoing a gastric bypass operation. Expect graphic scenes of gastric bypass surgery on Fat Surgeons. Ian White lives in Dorset with his wife Sharon, 4-year-old daughter Annabelle, and Connor the dog. Ian has battled with his weight since he was a boy, but a succession of diets have all failed.
At the moment I'm 33.5 stone. It's the heaviest I've ever been. My weight started to be an issue from, I was a chubby little kid, I suppose, and I suppose the first time I can really remember it is starting school, really. Both my parents were overweight. Even my sister at the time, my older sister, was slightly overweight as well. So it was a family thing. My weight pretty much tracked with my age, funnily enough. Even from that sort of, you know, I was probably at 8 years of age, I was 7-8 stone, which is quite heavy for a child of that age. And that followed right the way through my teenage years, and even into my 20s. It would be, I'd get a year older, but I'd get a stone heavier.
Carrying the excess weight has taken its toll on Ian's health and his family. He's decided it's time to get help to turn his life around.
As my weight's increased, just the everyday things, as much as anything, as going out with the family is always difficult. You feel like you're holding people back as well, and you're stopping a bit of the enjoyment, and you don't want people to keep making allowances for you.
His weight inhibits everything to do with life. Even going to the pictures, you have to make sure that you're actually sitting somewhere that you can lift the arms up to fit in a seat, or you can't go on an aircraft anymore. Because when we went on our honeymoon, we sat together with the arm up, and that was a squeeze then, and that was like 9 years ago, and the weight's come on a bit from then. But he works hard at trying to do stuff. And like I say, he loves coming to the beach and having a walk round, but he can only do so much.
Having Annabelle has been the thing that's forced the weight into perspective for me, really. And unfortunately, I still feel that I've lost 3 years of her life that I can't get back, you know. And that's all down to my weight.
But conceiving Annabelle in the first place was not easy for Ian and Sharon.
We had Annabelle through IVF, and again, because of issues of my weight and fertility.
It's not unusual. Men with an increased body mass index are significantly more likely to be infertile.
To actually be lucky enough for the IVF to be successful, and for Annabelle to come along, and then all of a sudden, you know, all the joy that you've been looking forward to, she arrives, and then even looking after a tiny little baby, you know, you're physically exhausted, and it's not her that's doing it to you, it's just you hauling your pure size around.
Ian's weight is a constant worry for wife Sharon.
It scares me, because his dad died at a young age, and since falling pregnant with Annabelle, Ian realised that he could die any moment. It's like, everything's difficult, you know, running after her. He can feel that he would make a good effort to catch her if anything ever went wrong, but you just don't know, and it scares him, scares me, and they said, we don't want to lose him. He loves us, so we want him around as long as possible.
But being so overweight has made it difficult for Ian to focus on family life.
I did start to go downhill with depression, and you have silly thoughts that, you know, they're better off if I'm not here, you know, and it's like they'd be better off, you know, she could, you know, go off and have a better life without me, you know, for the problems that I felt that I was causing. So dealing with that, and also dealing with the fact that you're worried that you're not going to be there if you are there to carry on supporting her, and, you know, seeing, you know, I don't know, I wasn't even sure if I'd see her go to school. But you've got to deal with that and just move on. And hopefully sorry.
Ian needed help. Finally, he was referred to one of Britain's leading bariatric surgeons, Shaw Summers.
Men tend to carry their weight around their middles. We call it centripetal obesity. So men tend to look like oranges with little cocktail sticks for arms and legs. Unfortunately, that weight around their centre is really very dangerous because it affects the function of their organs and it's metabolically very active. It causes illness all by itself. And that really gives rise to the saying that, you know, there are no fat old men because they're all dead.
Around 1 in 4 men in the UK are overweight. Researchers predict that this will rise to 80% by 2020. Dietitian Denise Thomas is part of Shaw Summers' obesity team.
I think the plight of men with regards to weight issues has not been fully recognised. When you look at most of the commercial weight loss programmes that are out there, they are directed a lot more to women, and women are more likely to access them. Men don't particularly like to be seen in groups, and therefore it's prohibitive to a lot of men when they're looking for weight loss treatments.
With a BMI of 63, Ian was told he'd be dead in 10 years unless he got help. Today is an important day for Ian and Sharon. It's the first step on their way to a more normal life. They have come to St Richard's Hospital in Chichester, where Shaw Summers and his team are about to decide his future.
Right, Ian White, he's a 40-year-old gentleman, BMI of 63, been overweight since he was 4 years old. He's tried multiple diets. He's been under dietitians from childhood. He's got a bit of hypertension. He's just on Ramipril 1.25 a day. He's got diabetes type 2.
In terms of his presentation, is he clear in his mind? He's got no way of losing weight any other way. He's tried everything else.
He's tried absolutely everything.
Anaesthetists, psychologists and dietitians will all have their say on whether Ian is eligible for surgery.
He's low risk. I've told him he's about a 1 in 100 risk.
Okay.
Which I think is eminently justified.
Yeah, absolutely, given his current state.
Yeah.
Okay, psychologically.
He understands what his triggers are to his emotional eating patterns. And although he's tried dieting for many years, he's been under the support of a dietitian, that he's lost some weight, very small amounts, and then once he returns back to his normal eating patterns, he regains his weight. So he feels that surgery is his only option in regaining any control of his life.
Ian has been trying to get weight loss surgery for years. He even considered remortgaging his house to pay for it.
Oh, Mr. White, please.
Now he'll hear the verdict.
Hi, come on in. Take a seat. Thank you. I'm pleased that we've managed to turn the funding issue around and get you through the NHS system. As I said to you, you fulfil all the criteria that we would normally need for NHS eligibility, and I think that bearing in mind the journey that you're about to undertake is going to have, you know, a long course and the odd bump in it, I think you're better off doing that with the NHS. So we've had our meeting today and we've discussed all the issues relating to your particular case, and I'm pleased to tell you that we're happy to offer you surgery. It is something we think you'll benefit from, and I think it's the right way ahead for you. We've discussed the kinds of surgery that are available, and we think a gastric bypass would be your best option at this stage. Right. That's all right. That's what this box is here for. I'm sorry.
It's an emotional moment for Ian and Sharon. They've waited years for this news. Finally, Ian is going to get the operation he so desperately needs.
Being overweight is not simply about carrying a heavy load, and I think the strains that you might envisage, things like pressure on the joints, pressure on the back, just being out of breath more, are fairly plain to see. But the strains go much deeper than that. It's a strain for the heart to push around all this extra weight. It's a strain on the lungs to try and get enough oxygen in to deliver oxygen to all this extra body tissue. And also for the body's metabolism and hormone system. It's hard work working it through a big body.
This was Martin Gibbs in 2006, when he was 38 years old. He weighed an astonishing 40 stone. 5 years ago, he recalls his eating habits.
I was depressed, and probably that was the start of comfort eating. You know, just drinking too much, going out having Chinese takeaways, or, you know, just buying too much convenience food and eating it, and not doing enough exercise, purely and simply down to that, I think.
Today, it's a very different story. This is the new, super slim Martin Gibbs. Martin returns to the tailor who made him a suit for his sister's wedding in 2006.
Hi, Gresham.
Martin! I had to check that it was you.
Yes,
Brilliant,
it really is me.
No, I remember you, and yeah, because I mean you're one of my biggest clients.
Yeah.
Not in a. I remember you coming up the stairs. I can remember hearing you come up the stairs.
Probably had difficulty fitting up the...
Yeah, well, it's very narrow, that staircase.
Yeah.
I remember you had a lot of pictures on it, and I could hear a couple of pictures
Swishing.
swinging on the side.
I used to get a lot of that.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Around about the time of my operation, I was 34 stone 9, which I think is a BMI of around about 62 for someone of my height. I'm now just under 16 stone. I mean, I guess technically I'm less than half the man I used to be now. I don't even need to undo it, I don't think, to get into it.
Do you know what? It's incredible. Come on, how long did this take?
Well, I guess it's been 5 years,
5
this journey.
years.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And you don't, you always think that people that have lost weight are going to look like people that have lost weight. Does that make, I don't know
if
why.
I had no clothes on, I would.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So yeah, what we'll do, I might get my assistant to help up the trousers, so.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
It's like one of those sort of clown suits.
It's just incredible, isn't it? You must be so chuffed.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's, you know, it's
a new life, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's been worth it.
Yeah, that's good. So I've got you down as a 66-inch chest.
Okay, I think I'm a little smaller.
Yeah, and your waist, 71, 72-inch jacket waist, 71-inch trouser waist. I don't want to rub it in, but you're the only person that we had to stick 2 tape measures together for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So well done. You found us a 40... Well, you're right in the middle. It's a 44. Yeah. So this is a 44, not a 66. So...
Vaguely surprised it was that small.
So you probably need a good 2.5 metres less fabric.
The change in suit sizes is a dramatic measure of the journey Martin has travelled. Surgery has helped him lose a staggering 18 stone. 5 years ago, his attempts at dieting were all doomed. Shaw Summers was his last hope.
Any diets work for you?
I was a member of Slimming World for a year or so and did lose some weight. You know, found it very difficult.
What's the most you've ever lost in a diet?
About 3 stone.
Mm-hmm. And how long can you keep that off for before it all starts to creep back?
Not long at all. I mean, it's sort of, you know, whilst I'm losing the 3 stone, obviously I'm still losing, but as soon as I get bored with the diet or whatever, then it sort of goes on.
Right, okay.
Back on with a vengeance.
Back on with a bit. It's called yo-yoing.
Yes.
Welcome to the yo-yo club.
Yes.
Dieting is hard. If you think about your normal diet being between 2, maybe 3,000 calories a day, and then to try and lose weight, you have to reduce that by at least 500 to 600 calories, and then keep doing that. Keep on that restricted intake for the rest of your days in some shape or form. That makes it very hard. And so when you're looking at somebody who maybe is 20 stones of weight and they need to reduce their weight significantly to improve their health and also help with pain or whatever reason, then you're looking at long-term dietary change, and for a lot of us that's very hard to do, especially when we live in an environment where food is everywhere.
Martin got the go-ahead. and Shaw Summers performed a gastric bypass operation in March 2007. His stomach was reduced to the size of an egg and lower intestine rerouted to change the hunger hormones inside Martin's brain.
It seems a shame to actually do an operation like this where you're cutting about a perfectly healthy stomach and intestine just to stop him eating. But there you go. It's the only way, I'm afraid. We've tried everything else and nothing works, and you either let him die or you operate on him.
Potentially it has saved my life. In fact, almost certainly it's saved my life.
Back in Dorset, Ian White hopes surgery will save his life too. He finally has a date for his gastric bypass operation. Already he started on a milk-only diet in preparation for his surgery. It's not been an easy regime for a man whose problem for years has been eating thousands of calories a day. And it's not been easy for his wife Sharon either.
Really unexpected. He's doing really well with the milk diet. I thought he was going to be so grumpy, but he's actually coped. He's coped without being too annoying to us. So we're very grateful. I'd say he's had a couple of wobbly days where he hasn't felt too well, but I'd say all in all, brilliant.
For the next fortnight, Ian will drink 4 litres of milk a day. This will shrink his liver, making it easier for surgeon Shaw Summers to access his stomach.
So you put your hands down, he can't see you.
It's tea time for 4-year-old Annabelle. In just over 2 weeks, Ian will struggle to eat the amount of food on Annabelle's plate.
Tea time! Oh, you got again. Yeah?
Mom.
Don't forget it's going to be warm. Yeah?
I have that and that.
It's peas, isn't it? Peas, potato and meat. Yeah?
That.
You want some of that?
He's really good at feeding Annabelle, even though you can see that he's thinking, oh, that smells nice. But he's doing it more, really. It's very strange. Before, she would be quite happy to sit next to him and eat away, but now he's going, Daddy, feed me.
Dad fancies eating Annabelle, but he's not going to.
That's Mummy.
Yeah, there's some more meat here. Yeah?
I've seen him do the diets over the past few years. And the trouble is, he always expects to fail, so he always does. And it's just from the past, and it's getting the mindset over the top. So, as I say, this was our only course that we could go down at the end of the day. He tried everything, and it was heartbreaking to watch.
We don't eat so much 3 times a day. We tend to move our meals around the course of the day, and we eat out of the house a lot more than we ever used to. So we need to evaluate all of these things. I'm no party pooper, and I wouldn't dream of encouraging people not to live free and easy lives with their food. But it's about considering A, how much they can eat in that environment, and B, making changes that suit with them and their family. And dietitians are particularly good at sitting with patients and helping them to recognise where they can make those changes.
In Brighton, Martin Gibbs has already made the changes to his diet. This is his lunchtime.
So I tend to find that lunch now is typically a lot smaller than it used to be. That'll be the main ingredient. Anyone from work that's watching will now be laughing, because this is what I have literally every day of the week when I'm at work. I really am that sad that everything gets chopped up into little chunks. Well practiced. It's literally every day of the working week, this is what I have for lunch. That's it. One lunch, 5 days a week. And for my little stock, that's pretty much supper with again a flatbread. So that's kind of the size of what I eat now. It's a lot smaller, and I tend to find, you know, that whilst it may be a little dull, by eating the same things day in, day out, it's a habit, it's easier to maintain what I need to be eating rather than what I kind of maybe want to be eating. And that's just, you know, my way of controlling it.
So, surgery helped Martin control his eating. Now Ian hopes it'll do the same for him.
It's a bit bubbly. Oh, how am I feeling? Fine. Fine, that's all I can say, really.
Yeah, a lot of sense of relief that it's going to be done today, you know. It's just making sure that you wake up at the end of it, really. No, you should probably say that, but it's the bit that you're worried. Everything else is not a problem. You know, you expect there's going to be discomfort and what have you, but it's just actually it's going to be going down there. Once I'm, walking out of here is going to be the difficult part, definitely. So.
Shaw Summers visits every patient before they go down to the operating theatre. Ian must give his written consent for the surgery that Shaw Summers is about to perform.
Hi there. Can I take a seat? Right, well, if I can just talk you through the consent form. That's you at the top.
Yep.
You're going to have a keyhole gastric bypass operation. The intended benefit is to reduce your weight and to improve your health. And I ask you to sign to say that you agree and understand all of that. Lovely. Any questions?
No, nothing at all. Thank you very much.
And we tend to get people up and about pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So this afternoon we'll be sitting you out in a chair, frog marching you.
No marathons, though, yeah?
No, but they don't call them physio-terrorists for nothing. Good.
Excellent. Thank you, mate.
See you in a minute. Yeah. All right. Are you staying? Yes. Right. I will get a message to you as soon as we finish, let you know how it's all gone. Okay. All right.
Thanks.
See you in a minute.
Mr. Summers, thank you.
Okay.
All the way. So, signed it now. No going back.
No, no.
Shaw Summers carries out nearly 300 obesity operations every year, and a quarter of them are on men like Ian.
I've been practicing bariatric surgery for the best part of 14 years now, and initially it was a fairly rare intervention for exceptional people who knew about the option of surgery, or their GPs put them forward because it was the only way. Now it's become very much more a mainstream treatment for people who have weight or metabolism issues. Initially there was a really strong preponderance towards women having this surgery. Men tended not to come forward either because they would put a brave face on it, or unfortunately more often than not men die much younger because of their obesity, because men carry their weight around their internal organs and it does more damage more quickly. Nowadays we see more men coming forward and at a younger age, and that's really where Ian fits in. He's a young professional man who can carry the weight, but it's fast catching up with him, and unless we intervene at the stage he's at now, he won't go on much longer. This is Mr. Ian White, who is having a laparoscopic gastric bypass procedure. Confirmed? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. That's him. As always with this kind of surgery, it's difficult to imagine where his internal organs are, because if you look at him, his breastbone finishes there, his tummy button is there, and there's a vast gap in between, whereas on me, tummy button there, breastbone there. So, the difference is 2 or 3 times. And what I've got to do is imagine where his liver is, and I think it's probably about there, because I've got to sneak underneath it. And it is a bit of educated guesswork. If I get it wrong, I'm going to struggle. If I get it right, the operation's straightforward, and that's part of the art and mystery of surgical decision-making. There's science behind it, but actually, at the end of the day, I've got to make a choice. Right. OK to start, Mark? Thank you very much. There you go. My incision. Like all surgical incisions, once you've done it, there is no going back. I've got to work with it now. So I'm using a special instrument to tunnel through his tummy wall to give me a view of his internal organs. Right, here we go. Let's have a look. See what we can see. And there we go, there's the liver. As you can see, it's slightly yellowish, so it has been very fatty, and because of his diet, it's shrunk a bit, but the liver is almost spot on where I thought it would be, so it's below his rib cage, but that I can work with. Right, those are my access ports.
Air is blown into Ian's stomach to inflate it, creating a space in which Shaw can operate more easily.
He is a big fella, actually. He's quite tall. What's difficult to appreciate sometimes is how patients as big as Ian are sometimes as deep as they are wide. And when you've blown the tummy up with gas, it's sort of like from up here. Ian currently weighs about 200 kilos, so I would say he should expect to lose about 70, 80 kilos. That's me, 12 stone. It's a lot. But I think he'll do it. Now I've got to look for the start of his small intestine, which, as you might imagine, is it's in here, but where?
The operation is in 2 stages. First, about 1 metre of Ian's small intestine is bypassed. A nylon tape is used as a measure. This will reduce both Ian's appetite and the amount of calories that his body can absorb.
Can I have the first stapler, please? So I'm now going to divide Ian's small intestine with this special stapling device, which will seal off the bowel and then cut along the middle of 6 rows of titanium staples. So clamp the intestine like that, and then fire the device. And as you'll see, when I release it, the 2 ends are nicely sealed and then cut. Magic. So everything north of this bit of intestine, everything this way, is never going to see food again.
The next stage is to dramatically reduce the amount of food Ian can eat by creating a smaller stomach.
There we go, give you that.
But to access the stomach, the liver needs to be lifted out of the way.
Okay, so, and to lift the liver up, we need a special device called a liver hook. Okay, so sneaking the hook in there. Judging by this, Ian's liver is probably about 4 or 5 times normal size. It's quite thickened edge. It should have a nice sharp edge and be purpley blue, but it's yellowy red there because of the fat in it. So is the tube down? Can you just feed it down? Let's have a little look. So there's the top of the stomach hiding underneath the liver. And Mark is just about to put a tube through Ian's mouth. There it comes into the stomach. Okay, can you just in a little bit more and then decompress the stomach? Thank you. Okay, so I'm now going to cut across the stomach and then construct a tiny little pouch. There we go. Okay, so now I'm digging a hole behind. So the pouch I'm leaving Ian with will be about the size of an egg. Yeah, let's take another 60 just to be sure, please. Okay. Lovely. Here's his little stomach pouch at the top there, a little sort of triangular shaped thing. And the rest of his stomach is all of this bit, all the way down there. So it's about 1/10, if that, the size of his original stomach. This little opening I've now made in Ian's pouch is about 1/2 centimetre wide. It's where the food's going to come through into his bypass loop. So I've now just got to join these 2 holes together with another special staple gun.
The final stage of the operation is joining the bypassed small intestine to Ian's new smaller stomach pouch.
Okay, and this is the tricky bit. I've got to staple exactly the right amount each side out. Can you pull yours out a tiny touch? Okay, there's the 2 bits stapled together. 1, 2, 3, and fire. Okay, I've done it now. Lovely. Okay, so that's the 2 bits stapled together.
More than an hour into Ian's operation, and back on the ward, Sharon is waiting for news.
So Dr. Bentley's going to put a nice wide tube down through the pouch. Here it comes, through the join I'm making. Okay, in you go, and into the small intestine. That's great. In a bit more. Lovely. And that helps me judge the size to make sure that Ian's got a big enough join to get food down, but not so big that he can eat too much. And to give you an idea of that size, it's about the thickness of your index finger. It's about 1 centimetre in diameter.
Now the join between Ian's new stomach and his intestine is stitched up and tested for leaks.
What I'm doing now is I'm just filling the top of Ian's tummy with salty water. Are you ready? Okay, blow please. There you go, you see it all blowing up there, but no bubbles. So no jacuzzi. Okay, you can vent, thank you. Great, thank you very much. It's all sealed up. We're ready to roll. Okay, nice little bypass. I finished Ian's operation and it's all gone very straightforward. I'm quite content with the results. He now has a nice bypass.
Okay, Ian, you're just waking up. Take some deep breaths for us. Good.
With the operation successfully completed, Ian is off to recovery. And Shaw Summers returns to the ward to find Sharon.
Hi. Everything's gone fine. Yeah, no, he's absolutely straightforward. It was no problem at all. He's done a really good job on his liver.
Heart's pounding.
Yeah, no, he's right. He's just waking up, and I would hope that he'll be back here within about half an hour. But there is a little boy in there trying to get out. All right.
Thank you. Thank
See
you
you later
very
on.
much.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
All right.
I've been positive all the way through. I'm thinking about it, I thought I'd be all right, but now it's like I can feel my cheeks going hot. Oh, my God. Oh, brilliant.
In Brighton, Martin is visiting his mother and recalling just how little physical activity he used to get.
Exercise for me didn't really exist. You know, it was walking to the fridge and back. That was kind of as much exercise as I used to get.
But all that's changed. Martin has just completed the London to Brighton bike ride.
I think 5 years ago I wouldn't have realised that he would have been in a position to cycle London to Brighton, and that was a real achievement.
Thank you, riders.
So yes, we're very proud of what he's done from the exercise point of view.
Whilst it's not necessarily what people want to hear, it's something that Mr. Summers always said. You know, the operation will take you so far, but you do have to change your eating and exercise habits to maintain the weight loss and to achieve as much weight loss as you can.
It's very nice to see all the exercise that he's doing, and I think he puts us all to shame now and the rest of the family.
It's now 10 weeks and 5 days since Ian White had his operation. He's already lost 6 stone. The last time Ian bought clothes for himself from the high street was his school uniform. But now Sharon is encouraging him to get a new wardrobe for his slimmer frame.
Yeah, but like you say, one day. You know, that's nice.
No, it's a bit bright.
Like that. Don't know, it's a bit daring and bright, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you've got to start somewhere.
But Ian isn't ready yet for such major transformation.
It's all boobies.
It's okay, yeah.
Window shopping is about as far as it gets.
Check. No, I am definitely never going to do a pink shirt.
You never know.
No. I am pretty confident. Now tux, now that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Ian knows he has a long way to go and many more pounds to shed before he'll have the confidence to buy clothes for himself again.
What do you reckon? Do 6 months and then you'll be in it?
We were talking about unrealistic goals and then you're off about 6 months. So.
Today is the first time Ian has eaten out since his operation. It's an important stage on his road to recovery and a normal relationship with food.
I didn't eat all of them. It's quite good. Yeah, chicken. Yeah, it's quite good. What do you fancy? I'm going to have an Americano.
Hello there, what can I get you today?
Can we have latte, did you want? Yeah. And an Americano, please. Soup of the day with a roll. And a tea cake, please.
Life with a new tiny stomach has taken some getting used to.
Food since the operation for the first 2-3 weeks was pretty much as sloppy as you can imagine. Soup consistency, that sort of thing. It's quite strange because it's like everything seems to taste a little bit the same because you tend to liquidise everything no matter what it is. So it became a little bit sort of samey. So you're quite keen to go on to the next stage where you could, you know, the forked mashed stage, if you like, baby food stage, that sort of thing. And I've gone through all the food stages now and I'm back onto trying to eat as much solid as I can. Been ups and downs through it all, but mostly it's been fairly easy, fairly consistent. So, you know, it's going quite well. You had memorable moments, like I can remember having roast chicken with gravy for the first time. You know, it's like I was saying, it's like you just had caviar for the first time. Do you know what I mean? It was like brilliant. You just really small bits of chicken just in gravy, absolutely lovely. You know, so and it builds your confidence as you go.
Yeah, it's not straightforward. As I say, we do prepare all the meals beforehand. And we buy ready meals as well, like you have your shepherd's pie and all stuff like that. But it's like at the beginning, you're cooking different meals for everyone in the house. There's only 3 of us, and it took time, but he's got there, and it is getting easier now. And I say, it's more going for quality rather than quantity.
Ian and Sharon are in Chichester for a special reason. It's the reunion Shaw Summers holds every year for his former patients. But it's not going to be easy for Ian.
I am a bit nervous about going. I suppose I am starting to realise, you know, like I've said, I've nearly lost 6 stone, but I'm still 28 stone, so I'm still by a large chap, you know, and it's turning up to the tea party, you're going to see people who've had great success through it, and, you know, I hadn't thought about it, but Sharon put into my head about being the largest person there, which I'm going to try and forget before I go, but...
This year, Shaw Summers and his team are holding their annual gathering in the grounds of Chichester Cathedral. It's an opportunity for former patients to share their stories and experiences.
Your face has changed a lot. Yeah, most people think. Today we've got our annual gathering, our annual tea party, and it's a chance for us to meet the patients outside of the hospital environment to really get a good idea of what the surgery has meant for them. We know it changes them physically and medically, it makes them very much better, but to understand how it makes them feel, how life changes for them, I think is really important. And as a surgeon, I get the most immense satisfaction understanding the fundamentals of what this surgery does for people.
My name's Carol Bowen-Ball. I had my bypass operation in November 2009. Gone down from 17.5 stone to 10.5 stone, so lost 6.5 stone in total. I'm horrified to think that I could even possibly think I could wear white shorts when I was that size. I feel absolutely amazing. I mean, my whole life is completely different today than what it was, say, 18, 20 months ago. I can do things that I couldn't do before, and sometimes I do them just for the sheer joy of it, like crossing my legs.
My name's Kim Streak. I had the operation on the 15th of April 2010. Lost almost 10 stone now, and I'm feeling absolutely amazing. Best thing I ever did. I feel full of energy, my confidence has skyrocketed. Yeah, I'm just really, really happy now, whereas I wasn't when I was bigger. So, yeah, really good.
Today's been brilliant, you know, it really has been an eye-opener to see different people through the different stages, those who have just had it like myself, and those who are, you know, years out of it and how much it's changed their lives and made influence on them and everything like that. Having the opportunity to meet Mr. Summers again, which was really, really good. Always nice to hear surgeons say you're doing really well as well, so that was nice. But no, it's been really good. Very inspirational.
I'm Madeline, I've lost 13 stone. Had my operation last year with Mr. Summers at Chichester. Straightforward operation, you know, and I feel really well now. All my health problems have gone, and I feel absolutely amazing.
It is a very emotional, very deep-seated journey that these people go through, having to change their lives completely, and it does help talking about it, and sometimes to talk to us about the personal journey they've made is part of the treatment. And I think, you know, we get the satisfaction of hearing about the improvements in people's lives, but they get the therapy of actually talking about it, understanding the surgery. They also get to meet people who are further down the line, people who are 2, 3, 4 years out, who we won't see in clinic, but it's good to get them together with people who've just had their op to actually help them see the future for them. And I think that's really good.
The future now looks bright for Martin Gibbs, but when he looks back on his life, he knows how close he came to the brink.
At the time that I had my first consultation with Shaw, he said that it was probably a 50-50 chance of still being alive 5 years hence. So I guess if I hadn't had the operation, there's a reasonable chance I wouldn't be sitting here right now having this conversation. So, you know, I think that's... the fact I'm still here is good.
It's been an incredible weight loss journey for Martin. A gastric bypass operation gave him the chance of a second life, and his personal determination ensured success. In the last 5 years, he's lost 18 stone.
Yes, it is quite surreal to see clothes like this, as I am now, as I was then. Yeah, you can't believe it's the same person that wears both.
It's now almost 6 months since Ian White had his gastric bypass operation.
When I started, I was 33 stone, 12 pounds. And as of this morning, I was 24 stone, 1 pound. So I'm just about 2-3 pounds shy of 10 stone in 5 months and 3 weeks. So it's gone very, very well, really.
But how is he coping with his new stapled stomach?
I eat 5 times a day, 3 your normal main meals, breakfast, lunch and evening meal. I tend to have a couple of snacks during the day, and I tend to eat pretty much everything that's normal. Yeah, low fat, low sugar. I still maintain a healthy diet. Well, a much more healthy diet than I ever did before, because everything you enjoy now, like a salad I'll enjoy, whereas before it was like, okay, I'll have that, but I'll have it with a pork pie, or something like that. You don't have that desire anymore. It's just to eat something healthy, like you have your meat and your vegetables. It's good. It's easy. You get so much into a routine. Still have no appetite, and that's the strangest of things. It's like it's still a case of I must eat now because it's time to eat. It's not a case of I'm hungry. I must eat. But no, still very sort of like side plate size dishes, plates for main meals. And I just carry on as normal.
Before the operation, and at over 33 stone, a walk in the New Forest just wasn't an option. Now this is something Ian and the family can look forward to more often.
I just seem to have an untold energy now. You wake up in the morning, I want to get up, I want to do something, I can't wait to get out the door. It's really, really good. I feel happy again, and I can't remember the last time I felt that way. And I feel happy again, and that's been worth everything. All the ups and downs you go through, it's been worth everything.
He is so much happier in himself. Willing to go out for walks and do stuff, which is unheard of, especially in the last couple of years. And he's happy.
Today, walking through a wood, just seeing things, it's just the experiences seem to be magnified tenfold because you're enjoying it. It's not like, where's the next seat? Where can I sit? I don't want to walk more than 50 yards because I'm going to be out of breath, sweating and everything like that. It's just the whole benefit of it is brilliant. It's just that general feeling of well-being, of being happy and zest for life again. If I hadn't had the operation, I'd probably be dead within the next couple of years.
Oh, we got a picture.
Now just about everything seems worth living for.
The relationship between Sharon and I is, well, 150, 200% better than it was. I was probably about one of the worst people you could have ever possibly wanted to live with. But now, it's different. We get up, we do things, we go out, we look. The weekends are now something that we plan towards instead of, right, what we're going to do today, let's do this or let's do that for half an hour or something,
Life's different. He's got energy. And I say, this is early days. And so in a year's time, the old Ian, he's going to be gone. And I'm going to have this really happy man and a really happy dad.
Future looks brilliant, yeah. So, onwards and upwards. So, well, weight down and everything else going upwards, so.
Can you tell me, you see another stag round here, Annabelle?